Hello, my name is Annie. I am a student of English. This is my story. I want to tell you about my life in London. I want to tell you about my fantastic teacher. You can read my story. You can learn English with me. It is a beautiful summer day. I am traveling on a train. Two women are on the train with me. The ladies are sitting across from me. They speak English. I don't understand a lot. I'm learning English, but I'm just starting out. I don't know many words. I begin talking to the ladies. I speak a few words in my simple English. The women understand me. I feel happy. I tell them I want to learn English. They say they're from England and they're heading home from a conference. We talk for 10 minutes. My station is next, so I say goodbye. The women give me their address and phone number. They invite me to visit them in England. Then we say goodbye. After that meeting, I practice English every day. I translate texts and watch English movies. In 6 months, my English improves a lot. It's good, but I want to learn more. I decide to go to London to study English there. In London, I attend a school. My first class is on Monday. I meet my teacher and classmates. My teacher is a young lady and she's really kind. We introduce ourselves by saying our names. We share where we're from. Then the lesson begins. Our teacher asks us how we study English. She mentions she can teach us a really good way to learn English effectively. The method is really easy. Our teacher says we don't need to study or read textbooks. Instead, we just need to use English a lot. This works well for me because I don't enjoy studying or using textbooks. Next, we discuss what's important when learning a new language. Our teacher says, languages are for communication. They help us express ideas and understand them. So, the best way to learn a new language is by using it for communication. That's our plan for the course. We'll talk a lot. Some students focus on memorizing new words and studying grammar rules, but they forget to actually speak English. They learn about the language, but they don't practice using it. Learning new words and grammar is important, but you don't have to study them traditionally. In this course, I'll teach you a simple and effective method for learning words and grammar. I enjoy our teacher's ideas. Our lesson goes on. We talk about our hobbies and what we do in our free time. We talk in pairs or with our teacher throughout the lesson. I really enjoy it. I'm very happy. This way of learning suits me very well. On Tuesday, I return to school. One student asks a really interesting question. What's the best way to learn new words? Our teacher explains there are many ways to learn new words. Personally, I find reading to be the most effective. If you read, you learn faster than those who don't. It's beneficial to read for 30 minutes daily. I'll show you how to make the most out of your reading. It's crucial that the book or text you read interests you. It could be a captivating story. Choose text with information related to your job or hobby. Avoid reading texts that don't interest you. Reading a text with many familiar words is beneficial. Occasionally, you may encounter unfamiliar words, and that's okay. When you come across a word you don't know, Use a dictionary to look it up, then continue reading. You don't need to write the word down or try to remember it. After translating the word, keep reading. Focus only on understanding the text, which is crucial. If you meet another new word, translate it as well. The method is simple. Read and translate new words. That's all. Reading is good because it teaches you how each word connects with others in a sentence. You learn how to link words correctly. This method for learning new words is highly effective. Give it a try, and you'll see how quickly you can expand your vocabulary. Then we continue with the lesson. We discuss the situation in England and the best jobs for students. This is helpful because I want to find work after school. I ask the other students if they know where I can find a job. They suggest going to a job center, where there are many opportunities for students. This is great news for me, and I feel happy knowing where to look for a job. After school, I head to the job center. Unsure about what jobs are available, I ask the lady there for advice on the best job for a student. She suggests they have good options like working as a cleaner or a waiter in a cafe. I explain to the lady that I don't have any experience with these jobs. She tells me that my English is suitable for working at a cafe. She mentions that the training isn't difficult, and I can use English when communicating with customers. The lady informs me that I can start my job on Thursday. It is good for me. I'm happy to have a job where I can practice using English. On Wednesday, I return to school. There's one student in the class who is quieter than the others. He's from South Korea. When the teacher asks if anyone has questions, a student from Korea raises their hand. He says they have trouble with pronunciation. He knows it's not good, but don't know how to get better. He doesn't talk a lot because he's not happy with how he sounds when he speaks. He mentions he spends a lot of time reading and watching English movies, so his comprehension is good. But he also wants to get better at talking. He's wondering if there's something he can do to improve how he sounds. When my teacher hears this, she says, "Sure, I can talk to you about how to say words better. And I want to show you a technique that might make it easier for you." First, let's understand why students struggle with pronunciation. When we talk, we need to move our mouths and use muscles. The issue arises when speaking English because sometimes we use the same muscles as we do in our native language. As a result, our English pronunciation might sound like our native language's pronunciation. This happens to lots of students learning English. Nearly every student has a slightly different pronunciation compared to native speakers. It's not a big problem because usually people still get what you're trying to say. As a student, it's normal not to have perfect pronunciation when you're learning English. But you can make your pronunciation better with practice. There's a technique called shadowing that can help you a lot. It's simple. You just copy the sounds you hear. When kids learn their first language, they do the same thing. They listen to their parents and copy them over and over until their pronunciation gets better. You can do the same with English. Find a video that's not too fast and that you understand well. Listen to it and copy what you hear as you hear it. That's all there is to it. Then, our teacher goes to a website called www.youtube.com and finds a helpful video that shows how to do the shadowing technique. We all watch the video together. After that, we try shadowing for about 3 minutes. Then our teacher says, shadowing can also help when you're getting ready for a presentation and want to have good pronunciation. Before your presentation, find a quiet place where you can be alone and do shadowing for about 10 minutes. You'll see how much it helps you have better pronunciation during the presentation. I find this very interesting because I've never heard about this technique before. When the lesson ends, I go to the school reception and ask the lady if there are any sports activities available. I want to do some sports in England. The lady tells me, yes, we have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team has practice today at 5 o'clock. I'm very happy because sports are very important to me. I go to the football team's practice. I meet many players from different countries like Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I enjoy the practice session. I'm really glad that my time in England is starting off well. I have a great teacher and I've made some new friends from my football team. Also, tomorrow I'm starting my job. On Thursday, I went to school and met a new friend named Jane. She's from Italy. During our lesson, the teacher asked Monica some questions. The teacher knew Jane because she came to our class for 2 weeks last summer. Jane was a beginner back then. When Jane talked, her English sounded really nice. She said words well and spoke smoothly. The teacher was happy and said, "Your school in Italy must be good." But Jane said, "I don't go to school. I learn English at home. I use things you taught us. I read a lot, copy how people talk, and talk to myself in English. I try to think in English more than Italian. This is how I improve my English. The 2 weeks I spent in your class last summer helped me a lot. You showed me how. I know how to practice my English every day. That's why I wanted to come back to your class. A year ago, I was a beginner, but now I can speak English. I want to learn from you again."
My teacher is really happy when she hears this. She thanks Jane for working so hard. It's all very interesting for me. I already know about reading and shadowing.
But Jane also talks about thinking aloud. I don't know what that is. So I ask our teacher, what is thinking aloud? Our teacher says, this is a really good method. If you want to learn English while using this method, you need to really want to learn English. It's important to understand that some people might find this method a bit strange. But when you start talking to yourself out loud, your English can improve quickly. I say, I really want to learn. I don't mind if the method seems strange. If it works, I'm eager to try it. Can you teach us this method? All right, it's really easy. You usually think in your own language all the time. That's normal. Now you can try thinking in English instead. And once you're used to that, you can start saying out loud what you're thinking. That's all there is to it. I say it's so easy. But why does it work so well? Our teacher says, perhaps you can ask Jane. She uses this method. Maybe she can explain more about why it's helpful. Then our teacher asks Jane if she's okay with sharing her experience of talking out loud. Jane says it's no problem at all. She says, when I began using this method, it was hard at first. I started with really easy sentences, like, I can talk in English. It's good that I can talk in English. I want to get better. I have to practice every day. I don't know a lot of words, but I can use the ones I know well. I can express my thoughts with these words. I can do this. It's awesome. The sentences were really easy, but at first, there was a problem. My thoughts in Italian were long and complicated. I couldn't say in English exactly what I was saying in Italian. I had to find a simpler way to say things in English. Thinking in simple English was the most difficult part. But after a while, it became normal for me to think in English. Then something cool happened. I met a guy from Australia while he was on vacation in Italy. Even though I was still learning, we started talking in English. I noticed that I could talk to him without too much trouble. My sentences were simple and brief, but I could communicate. I didn't have to translate everything from Italian to English in my head. After meeting the man from Australia, I started talking to myself out loud more often. This method really helped me improve my speaking skills. I still do it every day. It's truly a very helpful technique. Our teacher thanks Jane for sharing her experience with talking out loud. I want to try this technique too, because I also want to improve my speaking skills. After school, I go to the cafe where my job training begins. I'm not sure what to expect because I've never done this before. I don't have any experience, and I'm not sure if I can do this job. When I arrive at the cafe, I'm really surprised. It's a cool cafe that sells coffee, tea, chocolate cakes, and sandwiches. And my boss is only 25 years old. She's been working here for over 2 years, so she knows a lot. She teaches me how to make coffee, wash dishes, and talk to customers. Everything is new to me. I only remember about 20% of what she tells me. But then she lets me try doing the work, and she helps me when I make mistakes. She's really nice, and I learn quickly. After my first day at work, I'm really tired. But I'm happy to have a job. The next day is Friday, and I go back to school. One student asks a good question. Sometimes when I talk, I'm not sure if I'm speaking right. I'm not sure if my grammar is correct. Can you help me know what to do if I want to learn grammar? Our teacher says, "Thanks for asking. There are two kinds of students. Some study English to talk better, others study for exams. Each group has different needs. First, let's talk about students who want to speak English. If that's you, you don't have to study grammar too much. When you learned your first language, you didn't study grammar, right? You can learn English grammar naturally by using the language. The best way to do this is by reading a lot. Books have good grammar. When you read, you'll learn grammar from the whole sentence. I also suggest shadowing. When you shadow, you practice using the right grammar without thinking too much. You just copy sentences with the correct grammar. If you want to speak English but also want to learn grammar, you can go to www.grammarinlevels.com. This website tells you what grammar is important for different levels of English. You can find the most important grammar rules for speaking there. The other group of students are those who learn English to pass a test. If you're one of them, I suggest focusing on studying for that specific test. You can try practicing with old versions of the test from previous years if you can. Sure, Your test might be a bit different, but usually it's pretty similar in structure. I think using old versions of the test from previous years is a great way to practice. Then I suggest taking the real test only when you're getting good scores on the practice ones. Did I answer your question? Yes, thank you, says the student. This is great news. I don't enjoy studying grammar. I'm learning English because I want to speak it better. I don't have to take any tests, which makes me happy because I don't have to study grammar much. I enjoy reading, and I'm glad I can learn grammar by reading books. In the afternoon, I go to work. It's my second day, and I can already do many things on my own. But if I need help, my boss is there for me. I find that my job isn't too hard. Plus, I get to practice English when I talk to our customers. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment if you want the next part of this story.